Welcome to the Heaven on Earth podcast, a world where you study the story you were born into and redesign it into the story you choose. A world where you can have heaven on earth right here, right now, no matter the past. For me, heaven on earth is a holistic experience, leading with the heart, engaging with mind, body, and spirit. It's mindful, fostering calm and secure attachments. As we rise into consciousness, it's an earthly journey where we sensually embrace dynamic living.
Hello, Claudia. Very nice to see you again.
Good to see you. I love our monthly episodes.
Yes, right. I love it too, as well. So you look gorgeous as ever.
You look pretty gorgeous.
And today we have some interesting insights that we will be discussing from our book. We are moving to chapter 3. Our book is called Healing from Narcissistic Abuse, Rebuild from Relationship Trauma, and Find Your Light Again. I'm Grace, the main author of the book, and Claudia is a licensed psychotherapist based in Washington, D.C., who is also a co-author in the book. So, today we decided, Claudia, that we're going to be discussing the 3-stage cycle of narcissistic abuse. And when I came across this cycle, when I was doing research to understand what I was going through, it was really insightful and it helped me really understand what was happening, because up until this point, until you become conscious of certain patterns in life, as we all know, it's very confusing to understand what's happening. And you find yourself all the time guessing whether you did something wrong, questioning yourself, and always striving to fix things, do something better, and always thinking, I really messed that up. I can see what they're pointing to, the narcissists. Yes, it's true, this is all my fault, for example. And we will give more coherent examples as we get into the topic, as we always do. But I would like to first name the 3 stages, and then we can go through some examples. What do you think?
I like that. And I always want to invite you to bring in some of your own examples, Grace, because for me, that was one of the most powerful parts of the book is your alive and raw examples. And I also think it will help people who are listening, who might think, oh, it's bad, but I can't tell, because remember, there's this illusion that is happening the whole time, especially if you're kind-hearted. You're going to be questioning yourselves, just as you described. Maybe it's me, it's my fault, because there's always kernels of truth in what they're saying. So you'll grab onto the little kernel of truth. You're right, I'm not great at that, or something like that. So let's go in and do some do our stuff, do our magic here.
So the initial stage is the stage of idealization. Then they move on to the devaluation stage, and then the discarding stage. So let's start by the idealization stage. So yes, this was very clear what was happening in the beginning of the relationship. Everything felt very blissful because of the love bombing as well. And I mean, this is normal, no? When you start dating someone, we always want to show our best selves and we want to impress each other. I think this happens very commonly when we start dating someone. But the idealization that happens by a narcissist, they take it to another level. They fantasize and they want to have this ideal lover because they feel so special that, of course, they feel entitled to someone who is as special as them. So there's this sense of idealization. She's the most beautiful person. She is the best at doing this, or she carries or he carries a status in society. Maybe they come from a rich family, or they have certain positions in society. And so there's this sense of idealization, what you represent for the narcissist, and how you're going to fuel their ego. However, this idealization stage unfortunately doesn't last very long. But before we go on to the devaluing stage, I would like to ask if there's anything that you would like to add to this, because I see that you're jotting down notes as well. And I can see that even in the book, we noted here that the love bombing phase that comes with the idealization stage can feel as potent, as addictive as drugs like cocaine, heroin, and ecstasy.
Yes, yes, yes. Very good. Yeah, I have a lot to add here. So, one is that all throughout this, there's normalcy. It's biological, like it's super normal, like you were saying, Grace, that there's a honeymoon stage. And we're actually, that's biological. We're supposed to, in order to bring two people together, there has to be like, you're perfect for me, or like the Me Too stage, like, me too, we do this too, I love this music too. Like, right, they're perfect for me. And it's lots of dopamine and oxytocin and sexual desire. Like, that's part of bringing two mammals together, right? Like this attraction stage. So all throughout, there's normal parts of being human and mammalian, and it makes sense. And it's almost like that's super hyper exploited by the narcissist, like this normal stage. And you're absolutely right. I'm going to track what you were saying. This need for the best. Let's like approach that from two angles. The narcissist will spot the best, the most gorgeous one in the club, which was you, right? The sexy one. There will be a spotting of each other, but they will be like, oh, this person knows how to speak in public. This person is of high status. So they will spot who will move them up the ladder. Even in one of your chapters, I remember you going back to his home, and he sort of just wanted you to be quiet, but beautiful.
Yeah. yeah,
He
exactly.
didn't want you to, but because he needed you as a status symbol, like gorgeous, but quiet, right? So anything that will bolster, and they will spot you. And what I'd like to add there for the empath or the kind-hearted human, or if you're that person, what I'd like you to add to yourself from a healed, empowered place is like, yeah, you are that.
Yes.
You are, right? You are the competent, beautiful. You are that package. Now that we want to just put that away for your healed, empowered self. But yeah, you got spotted because you are that. You will be spotted by the narcissistic boss as the one who's hardworking, high competent, geared for success. So you will be spotted for the exact right reasons. How does that land with you, Grace?
Yes, I love that you are mentioning this, because when you're in these kinds of situations, you overlook it and you don't realize this. In fact, it's the complete opposite. You're so confused, gaslighted, and busy trying to be better that you never feel good enough, let alone spotted for something that you have for real, you know?
Yes, it is a plot twist that you don't realize until later.
Exactly.
When you're healed and empowered, but we're going to put it right up front.
Yeah.
They will spot you for being the best in whatever because you're needed as a status symbol. So can I add a few more things to this
Oh,
part?
yes. Yes.
Because frameworks do help us in approaching any relationship. So yes, the addictive cycle begins in terms of seeking the high. What happens is they idolize you so much, and that's real for the narcissist. They need to idolize you. They need to feel to counteract their own sense of emptiness and their own sense of severe imperfection. Remember, they're constantly looking for perfection, which is a myth and a danger for us as humans, by the way. This And then the empath or the victim who's felt so imperfect by their own wounding will love to feel like someone sees them as perfect. That's extremely dangerous, and it's high, it's addictive. Someone's idealizing you. Even as a therapist, the narcissist will idealize you. And boy, do you feel like everything coming out of your mouth is just amazing. And you have to stay very grounded in your imperfection, and that's part of being human. And that's the addictive high for them and for you. Go ahead, Grace. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm just reflecting. It's true how seductive this can feel, which makes you feel literally addicted to the person, as we mentioned with like addictive substances, because your brain becomes so attuned to that feel good chemical that's being released because of this sense of idealization and perfection, that you become hooked on them because of this.
Hooked. Literally hooked and constantly wanting to go back. Part of the addictive cycle is that, let's say with heroin, with any hard drugs or crack even or anything like that, is you want to go back to that first experience. That first experience. So it's the chasing the high thing, and we talk about it in the book. We keep, but you adored me, but you loved me so much. And they're their most brilliant self too. Like they are delicious during this time. They're
Yes.
tender, they're sweet, they're noticing everything about you, they're speaking to it, all of it, right? It's really quite delicious. The other thing that, as I was rereading this chapter, Grace, tell me what you think about this. I was like, holy moly. There's so much dopamine hits going on between the two. The dopamine hits are so intense, not oxytocin, which is the bonding trust hormone. It's these extreme dopamine hits. Like the highs are really high. Even for the person receiving it, you're getting dopamine out. And if I can just be a little bit, use riskier language here, because it'll lead us into the discarding stage or the devaluation. There's a dopamine hit for the narcissist that resembles porn addiction or masturbatory behavior, because once they orgasm, it's almost like then they're done.
Absolutely. You couldn't have thought of a better example, I think.
Really, it's this seduction, like an edging behavior, seduction with this gorgeous creature that they've idealized, right? It's an edging behavior, which is common in sexual addictions. And then they peak, they orgasm,
And then that's it.
and they're done, which leads us to the second.
To the devaluation stage, yes. And as you're bringing up these examples, I'm also thinking as well that these dynamics happen even in friendships. When you start bonding with someone, forming a friendship, and if they have narcissistic tendencies, they often do this as well, where they make you feel seen, connected, they support you, but you can sense that there's an intention behind it, and perhaps they're idealizing you, and maybe they want to get some kind of status through you as well. But then when they feel that there's some kind of safety that has been established, or trust or emotional connection, they know that it's time to hit. And you can see how it plays around with all types of relationships if you're dealing with narcissists, whether it's a romantic partner, a friend, a family member, a colleague. So as we're talking about this, before we move on to the evaluation stage, I would like to invite the audience to reflect on whether this rings a bell, whether this feels familiar, and to take some time and to do some reflection on what we are saying.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I think what these episodes allow us to do, Grace, is nuance it more.
Exactly.
Actually, I'm struck. I want you to co-think with me right now. There's something, if we just stay with idealization, there's a sub theme that feels really strong, Grace, about perfectionism, right? And both the narcissist and the victim or the empath has such imperfect childhoods that might feel really chaotic, or in terms of the empath or the victim, like so unseen. They grow up with this feeling of being extremely imperfect because you're not heard, you're not seen, you're parentified. So in some ways, that, remember, we've talked about how that childhood can feel similar, the way it's played out for both of them. But to feel idealized, to feel perfect is part of the other addiction. Is like, oh, you see me as perfect. And from the narcissist point of view is, I need you as perfect. Because something in our childhood felt so imperfect, so chaotic, so messy, that there's this obsession and compulsion for the perfect love story, for the perfect partner, for being perfect. And I have some ideas. Just how did your childhood feel imperfect and chaotic, maybe, and needing order and organization?
Yes, I like that you are mentioning this. I love our conversations because this is what happens. We just like keep coming with more insights and we go deeper and deeper. But yes, it's true. This sense of not being seen, and it kind of feels like the wounded inner child keeps running the show and is just constantly craving to be seen, and therefore it means for the child that I am loved, right? And the child is always wanting to be a little bit better, to be
Yes.
seen, to be recognized, to be loved.
And maybe both the narcissist and the wounded victim were parentified and idealized. The narcissist, this is where they can become narcissistic. The parent is like, you're perfect. You're not your father,
Yes, that's also
right?
the other side of the story.
You're
Yes.
so perfect. Because a parent can make that child be like, look at my little helper, my little rock. And they grow up feeling that way, that sense of grandiosity. And maybe for us, because I identify as the wounded empath, and so do you, like, right, we're valued for being parentified, for solving and fixing everything.
Yes.
Anyway, like, just this sub theme of perfectionism is
Yes.
really
Very
interesting.
dominant here. So then this idealization stage unfortunately doesn't last very long, and at some point we enter the devaluation stage. So this is interesting because the narcissist wants someone who seems perfect because they feel entitled to the best. But we know that this is an illusion, right? No human being is perfect. So when they start seeing that the other partner is not perfect, of course they get disappointed, they feel frustrated, and everything is amplified from their perception. It's like they tend to complain about, frivolous things that you don't need to complain about. They'll make a big story out of them. Everything is wrong. They have this negative lens that they look through in life, and they navigate life like this. But at the same time, if their partner is succeeding or thriving and is making their ego feel threatened, they're still gonna devalue you because they have to be the best. You can't be better than them. So there's no winning,
There's
even.
no
There's no
winning.
winning, you know?
There's no winning at all. Grace, can you talk about that? Because in the devaluating stage, I wrote, they value then destroy. I think that was one of your sentences in the chapter, because they're so filled. This is what you're just describing, with envy and therefore hate. It's hate. I envy you and I hate you and bear these emotions, is what the narcissist cannot bear these emotions. And also, this is true for most of us, I'll talk about that later, is like they can't bear the disappointment of their partner being sick or having their monthly symptoms or feeling a little depressed some days. Like they can't bear the disappointment of their partner being human, being normal, being imperfect. So you describe it, and there's no winning. And there's so much blame, envy, and rage. They can't bear their partner having a life.
Being human, practically.
Grace, can you give some examples of the blame that happens in the devaluation? Can you talk a little, even if just something comes to mind of, you talk a lot about in the book about like not having the right ingredient while you were cooking or.
Absolutely. This was a daily battle, unfortunately. So when you say this, I have a rush of memories that pop up. So I remember one of the most severe ones, the Budapest episode, when I had that accident and I really needed to be taken to the hospital and to be cared for. I remember that he got really upset and he got really mad, and even though I was limping, I had a massive bruise all over my chest here, and my legs and my lips were swollen, my teeth was chipped, my braces were broken. So it was quite severe. It was quite a mess. And the next day, instead of seeing how to help me, and we were in a foreign country, he was really upset that I was messing up his itinerary. It's bizarre. And he forced me to walk over an hour because he felt like walking to this thermal bath in Budapest because he felt like it. And there's no way that just because you were human and you are injured, you're going to mess up with his itinerary. So as I bring up this example, I invited the audience to see whether they can think of any of their stories or examples where perhaps they felt like they needed support, help with something, they felt unwell. I remember I used to worry that if I got sick, terminally ill or something, my gut feeling was telling me, I was like, oh my God, this was 5 years, right, into the relationship. And I was thinking, if something happens to me, this person will not care. They will just leave me, carry on with their life. I was scared of aging. God forbid I lose my beauty when I'm aging. What's going to happen then?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So when I was reading their chapter again, audience, people who are listening, because we always need telltale signs. I feel like it's very helpful to be like what to spot early on, because people are like, well, how can I tell? And one of the questions you can ask is, who are they when you're sick? Which is superhuman if you have a cold. I'll give you one of my examples. And Grace, as I'm talking, I'd like for you to have a more normal day-to-day example, because I think what's been distracting in the common culture, and for me too, is that we expect the really horrible narcissists. We expect the really flamboyant, super abusive ones. But that's not how it shows up in day-to-day life. How can we track the signals in day-to-day life that are more everyday? Let me give you one of a friend, actually. Extremely early on, when I was younger, where I used to go out and party and club and have a great time. And I was with two friends. They were both male. And I remember we were doing the normal getting a slice of pizza after we'd gone out. And we were at one of these fun restaurants, and I had a coughing attack. This is such a really that memory has struck with me for so long, because at the moment I could feel that something was off. I'll tell you what it was. I just started coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing, and I couldn't stop. One of them left.
Oh my God.
Embarrassed.
Sorry for being human.
Embarrassed. But this is and I remember thinking, who was the closer friend? The other person who I just met stayed with me, started rubbing my back, and went and got me water. Like, are you okay? Stayed with me.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't know about being an empath. Clearly one was an empath, and the other got up and walked away. something to notice. That's something. And I remember feeling like, wait, I know you more. You're my real friend.
Yeah, that's such a
You're my
good
real.
example because this is something so small that you would probably just ignore it, you know, and continue like you move on with your life. You're like, no,
I
I'm
remember
still
it
working.
sticking with me, and then I got water, and then it was all okay, and then he came back. You know, once it wasn't embarrassing, but me as a wounded empath internalized it as I was embarrassing. I cannot cough in public. I cannot get sick. I cannot burden. That's all wounded empath stuff, is being the burden, is aging, is what if you have a baby and gain weight? Like all of these things, I will not no longer be a status symbol, right? So that's a good example.
Yes, that's crazy. But we go
Grace,
through
you have
these
one
things.
of feeling like you've been cooking all day, of not getting the food right.
Right, yes. That was, yes, a daily example where it happened even more than once. I remember that I was cooking and really trying to see what kind of food is going to make him happy because he was really fussy about food. One of the many things that he was fussy about. And I remember that, which is really, yeah, strange that he would come into the kitchen and he would like check everything to see that everything was according to his standards. And when he realized that the wrong type of olive oil was used on a salad, he went bananas. And I remember this scene. I sent some love to my past
Yeah.
self, young girl. Oh, dear Grace, where I endured hours and hours of shame and devaluing comments and punishment. Then we went to the silent treatment, which I mentioned here in the discarding stage, which is the next stage, where I was literally punished because I used the wrong type of oil. And this is something so small, and instead of being appreciative that this person slaved for hours preparing a 3-course meal with a starter and everything, that he would go into this tantrum. And I remember insisting, then it's like, okay, then if you don't like it, don't eat it then, you know. I must say that he did take the food and ate it, but he locked himself into his room for the whole weekend, and I was punished with the silent treatment, which brings us to the discarding stage.
Yes, yes. And for other folks who are listening, some of that, what Grace describes as these hours, there is one form of punishment, definitely the silent treatment, is these interrogations. Like literally, you are, whether it's at a restaurant, you had that experience, or in the home of like, why didn't you do it like this? Why didn't you like, and it's like a colicky baby. If you've ever been around a colicky baby, no matter what you do, something is so upsetting to them that nothing hits the spot, whether you move them or rock them or try to feed them or do, they're so disturbed that the sensation for the parent is that you cannot soothe them. You cannot soothe a colicky child. You have to find all sorts of techniques. And this is an adult where you will not hit the spot. No matter what you respond, I thought you would like it like this. I didn't know that you didn't like it. It doesn't matter. You will not hit the spot of soothing their grand disappointment, which of course is a projection. Someone didn't soothe them. The parental wound was never soothing enough. So the projection and the blame is this your idea of these hours of berating of how you didn't do it correctly or silent treatment. You will be punished in
It's
some way.
it's really good that you mentioned this example, this thing, yeah, because I remember, yeah, this is sense of interrogation even. And when you're attacked like this, naturally, you don't even have time to think. You're just naturally trying to defend yourself, and then you're questioning, but why did I do this? Like why? And you start seeing how imperfect you are because you made a mistake, and this is your fault, and you should have done better. Everything becomes very foggy.
It does.
And it's really important to mention that this is not just a one-time thing, this is a cycle. And so for the victim or the empath, this is very confusing because this is not a thing that happens every day and it's always bad like this. It fluctuates. Then we go back to the idealization stage where you would get the dopamine hits again. Because a lot of people wonder, why would you stay with someone who's always like this?
Yes.
And I say it would be easier if they were always like this, because at some point you will just really get tired and just leave. But the fact that the dopamine hits, this intermittent positive reinforcement is
Yes.
cool. You don't know when it's coming. You stay in the chase, you stay in the loop of waiting for it. If I could have just gotten the right oil, this wouldn't have happened. We would have had the happy weekend that we sometimes have, the amazing time we spent together, blah, 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 blah.
Grace, I'd like to do an episode alone on why they stay, because victims or empaths or kind-hearted people get blamed a lot. Like, well, why'd you stay? Part of the addictive cycle. So this part is super addictive because part of the intermittent back and forth, because there is a really strategic back and forth, even after discarding, we're going to talk about that, is the I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was being an ass. I was in a mood. And I always say that in that abusive cycle, let's say someone is abusive, they do come back with genuine, what feels like genuine remorse. So if you're kind-hearted, if you're an empath, if you're desperately needing validation, you will take that person back. And that's also human, is if someone's like, I can't believe I did that to you, it won't happen again. Because sometimes they do come back with the I'm sorry like it was me, or they come back with a lot of romance or sexuality, a lot of seeming like they've done the work. So audience, what I'd like you to track is have they done the actual work? There's lots of things that you're going to be able to track so that those intermittent addictive cycles that the victim wants to, because see, what's addictive for the wounded person is maybe this time I'll be able to do it. Maybe this time I'll jump the hoop. The hoop jumping, there's something addictive of like, next time I'll get it right. Next time this story will end differently. You keep the Cinderella, right? The mythology, like maybe this time we will be happily ever after.
Yes, yes, and it's such an illusion because, yeah, and it's unfortunate because years pass by and you don't realize how much time you've wasted chasing the carrot that you can ever actually reach. And things just keep getting louder and louder until a sickness comes out or you end up in accidents like what was happening with me. So, yeah.
You're more and more destroyed. Your selfhood is more destroyed. So it's actually harder and harder. There's a learned helplessness. It's harder to leave. And I think in therapy, that's where the intervention or the higher consciousness, which is what you had, Grace, the internal voice that got louder and louder too. Thank you.
Yes, yes, and yeah, how important it is to track things down. Remember writing things down, keeping evidence, because you start experiencing even physical symptoms where you have brain fog, you have high levels of cortisol. So this goes into the like physiology of the body as well, not just psychological.
100%. You're exhausted. You're literally exhausted by the interrogations. It's almost just easier to zombie out, to just give in. Like it becomes that because you're pummeled and afraid. Like there's a cycle of what did I do wrong now? Absolutely.
Yes, and you find yourself always walking on eggshells, which is one of the symptoms of narcissistic abuse syndrome, which we will discuss in the next chapter and then our next podcast. That, yeah, you start going through all these kinds of symptoms and this sense of of hope. I think when I lost really the sense of hope that you mentioned, this really resonated with me now. Then I just like realized you're never gonna get it right. Like, just give up. There's no hope anymore. It's just, no, not gonna happen.
And you just talked about, let me just, for the audience, like we want to give you as much value as we can. This idea of tracking, we both wrote that in the book. This idea of tracking, whether it's in your journal, because you begin to track that it's a pattern. And you have to remember, this is really hard, to write the horrible moments. Because we will gaslight the memories. We need it for even when we leave. We will gaslight ourselves because we're in so much craving of the relationship, of the romance. And Grace, you talk about even recording conversations. And I say to folks, listen, if this is a beautiful love story, then you've tracked your love story. Beautiful, right? Yay, you've written. But if it's not, you can go back and say, I remember Budapest. I remember 3 hours because I didn't use the right olive oil. You have it there for you yourself to remember, because we do get brain foggy. Sometimes we can't accept that someone would be that mean
Exactly.
or cruel. We can't accept it
That's
till
also
we start seeing it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You're in denial. And I know that you can become so dissociated, as you said, that I know that certain people even delete certain memories because it's so painful that they just cannot. It's like mental archive, exiled from their consciousness. And some episodes become completely forgotten, but they're still there. So it's really important. So as we move to the last stage, the discarding stage, that this can feel very painful because the victim feels completely abandoned. They feel helpless, and at this stage, you're probably questioning and feeling so scared and thinking whether the narcissist is going to ever come back, ever going to give you another chance, ever going to forgive you for being imperfect, and it feels very, very scary and triggering for a wounded empath. Or even if you're not an empath, you don't identify as an empath, but if you have this wounding, this fear of abandonment, the discarding stage is just going to feel like
Brutal.
terror, absolute torture for you. And this is the time where the narcissist is just waiting for you to think of a better plan of how you're going to serve them, to beg, to make things better. And they're waiting it out, and they know that you're going to come back to try and fix things. And then you start the cycle all over again.
And it's so brutal. It's brutal to be discarded. And if you come in with a severe abandonment wound or neglect wound or an abusive wound, which most of us do if we're attracted, because see, the healed, empowered empath is no longer attracted. We can spot them, right? Which is
Yes.
ish, right? Grace, like
God.
lately you've been, yeah. There's some, even if you like start to have a relationship or a friendship with someone, sort of like by the third or fourth time you're with them, you're like, something feels off and you trust yourself more.
Exactly.
You trust yourself
that is
more.
key. Trusting your gut feeling. It knows
Yes.
before the conscious mind knows. It knows. Just trust your gut feeling. Yes.
Yes. Like my example of something felt off that night when someone walked away, you could tell they were embarrassed.
Yes.
And then came back. Like what I did was blame myself. I must be horrible for coughing.
Right.
Hilarious.
Right. How dare you?
Hilarious. Yeah. It's hilarious. But so this discarding stage, actually what it does is the trigger hits a belief we have.
Mm-hmm.
We must be discardable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We are worthy of being neglected and abandoned, because if that is not healed, when we heal, The trigger might come in, but it bounces off.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm lovable. I'm amazing. I'm a powerhouse, which is why you chose me in the first place. And that's not narcissistic, by the way. It's self-esteem, this self-love. Like, even if you don't see me, I see me. So the trigger will come in. It is hurtful to be discarded by anyone. Even if you're at a store and they treat you with dismissiveness, it hurts. But it doesn't go into a place of a belief system.
Yes.
So what it does, if you're still very wounded, this is why healing is so important, is it confirms your belief. And so you start this incredible campaign.
Yes, literally.
It's a campaign to prove that you're lovable, that you're beautiful, that you will do everything. So the ante goes up. The narcissist, the word that came to mind is whipping, as more of a whip, whether it's emotional abuse, physical abuse. Like, oh, you'll come back for more?
And they will give you more, and they will give you even worse. And it gets, yes, absolutely.
Correct. It's more abusive. And you do come back with more. I'll serve you more. I'll show you more. Okay, maybe I am poly.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Maybe I'll be open to all the things that, so there is more risk and there is more danger because the ante does go up.
Yes, absolutely. Which, yes, as you're describing it, I see my past, in front of me, because was the loop that I was stuck in, this cycle, where it did get louder and it did get worse. And this soothing that you mentioned in the beginning of our episode, that it's an inner child wound that they have, that it's like a child who can never be comforted, can never be soothed, no matter how hard you try. And the thing that we do when we are in these kinds of situations is that we justify, we rationalize, and we excuse these kinds of people. No, today he did this with the olive oil because he had a stressful day at work, things are really bad. Otherwise, he wouldn't do that. Because his mother is sick, so he has so much stress. And so this is why he took it out on me and he slapped me today. Things.
The stress of the meeting that's coming up, but they say it too. Oh, sorry, I've had a really stressful week. So I had to treat you like this, because their attempt at self-soothing. Okay, this, I think we've got to put a trigger warning to all of this, because they require demeaning, blaming, and feeling above you and really putting you down. They feel that soothes them, because they usually feel so horrible inside themselves and outside in the world that, and I know it's hard to believe this, that the reason why we justify is because for the wounded empath, at least, or for the open-hearted human, it is hard to believe that they're that cruel.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's no mental model, or there is a mental model, which is that you were also abused as a child. So you either take it because you're reliving the pattern, or you keep taking it because you feel like at some point this stops.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and it's so good that you mentioned this, that to help people understand that this is how they regulate themselves. This is how they make themselves feel better, to maintain some kind of homeostasis in themselves by destroying others, unfortunately, because otherwise they just cannot bear what they're feeling.
Yes. There's a humanity piece. I want to add the parts that are just normal for mammals and humans. Okay, like what we talked about, like attraction at the beginning, normal and human and mammalian. In order for us to have babies or have sex or fall in love, we have to have attraction. At this point, what's normal in any human is what I call like the end of the movie, is that we do want the happy ending. We do want our parents to finally love us. Because that's normal.
Yeah.
We do feel that if we solve everything, our parent will finally be the adult in the room. So we chase that carrot, right? At some point, if we jump the hoops for this lover, for this best friend, for this boss, we'll finally reach it. We'll finally get what we want. And so that's a normal way of being, is that, of course, if I work out, I lose the weight. If I work hard enough, this, of course, goes into the all is in the small, the small. We jump these hoops in the matrix, thinking that if we have enough merit, we will reach places. We'll be able to ring the bell. That's human. If we work hard enough, we get the rewards.
Yeah.
That's a human thing we have. And in some cases, it's true. We get the reward. But with the narcissist, we will not, or the narcissistic system.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to add this before we end our conversation, that ultimately what we are chasing through other people, whether it's to make our parents see us or your partner, the narcissist, whoever, the only way that you're going to feel like now you have it, now you've reached it, is when you learn how to parent yourself and give what you've missed as a child to yourself. That is the end goal. And that is how you will feel like, oh my God, this feeling has been resolved, because no other person, not even your own parents, can kind of fix that for you. It's something that you have to give to your inner child. And I encourage the audience to look into this, and we will give even more conversation and valuable tips on this, because that's how you get there. What do you think, Claudia?
I just thank you, Grace. It's like I see me, I hear me, I validate me, I trust me. And that's a long journey of work, and Grace has done it beautifully. I've done it myself, but it's actually the antidote.
Yes.
It's the antidote.
Yes, exactly. That is
Folks can't even get in, because not only do we see it all now, we clock it, as I say it. Now we clock it early on. But there's actually, it doesn't come from the outside.
Absolutely. So, dear listeners, we tell them that the amount of energy and time that they are spending or they have spent on a person who idealizes them, devalues them, and discards them, to turn that attention and energy on themselves. And can you imagine the amount of love that you have to offer and dedication if you offered it to yourself, where you're going to be in life in a few months, years, weeks, whatever, but just at the starting point, step by step, you'll get there.
You might write an amazing book. Yes.
Yes. Claudia, thank you so much.
Thank you, soul sister. Thank you.
Amazing
For
as
sure.
always. And we'll continue our next conversation.
For the next podcast next month, everyone. Please like, share with folks you might think are going through this. I will certainly share this episode for sure. Like, share, subscribe. Yeah, let's move this algorithm towards healing.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.